Well, that sure was a game of hockey. Let's talk about it on today's Locked On Blue Jackets.
You're Locked On Blue Jackets, your daily podcast on the Columbus Blue Jackets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Blue Jackets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am, as always, your host, Jay Foster, here to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly about your favorite team and mine, the Columbus Blue Jackets. Before we get things started, I want to thank everyone for making this your first listen of the day every single day. Locked On Blue Jackets is free and available on all podcast platforms and over on YouTube. Now, we have to talk about last night's game. We have to talk about tonight's game. One of those is probably going to take a little bit longer than the other one because that sure was a game that happened last night. I can't believe it happened again because very early on in the season, the Blue Jackets were down 3-0 against a team that wears blue nationwide. And they ended up winning the game 7-6 in overtime. It was a shootout win this time, but I don't understand how this happened again. This one was, okay, in fairness, I did not watch live because apparently the Blue Jackets can only win when I'm not paying attention. So I had to catch the replay. But another stretch of like a billion goals scored in the third period. Blue Jackets somehow get a point out of it, and then they somehow get 2 points out of it, which, like, if I'm the Canucks, I am so mad. If I'm a Canucks fan, if I'm a Canucks fan, probably I'm like, yeah, of course this happened. Why wouldn't it? But like being up 3-0 and then losing in the shootout, like extremely, extremely frustrating. If that had happened, if that had been the other way around, I would have been livid about it. Yeah, they got a point, okay, but you should have had 2. Although, giving up a 3-0 lead maybe means that you don't deserve the points either. Like, honestly, no one from last night deserved any points, frankly. The offense was great for both teams. The goaltending was an unmitigated disaster, which I expected, but not to this level. I think I said I predicted, what was it, a 5-4 Blue Jackets win in yesterday's episode. It ended up being a 7-6 Blue Jackets win, which, like, that's too many goals. What is that, 13 goals? Kevin Lankinen, 6 goals on 38 shots. Elvis Merzlikins, 6 goals on 37 shots. Like, what? Like, this game was so stupid. I don't understand what happened. I mean, like, I do kind of understand what happened. Like, the Blue Jackets power play was the Blue Jackets penalty kill was god awful. The power play was better than expected in that they scored a goal, but they also allowed a shorthanded goal. Like, the Canucks scored 3 even strength goals, 2 power play goals, and a shorthanded goal. The Blue Jackets scored, I believe, 5 even strength goals, and then that power play goal by Boone, who Boone has been really good as of late. Like, we talked about that in the last episode, I think, but like Boone is very quietly putting up the points. That's, I think, 4 goals in his last 3 games. Again, the first power play goal in approximately 3.5 months, it feels like. 14 points in 15 games so far. Looks like he's having fun playing with Adam Fantilli and Kent Johnson, which makes sense because why wouldn't he be having fun playing with Adam Fantilli and Kent Johnson? I believe he had 2 goals and an assist last night. He assisted on Dante Matejchuk's goal, which that was a great goal as well. Like, I have no issues with the offense in last night's game. Like, the offense was great. Like, multi-point games for like 6 different Blue Jackets. I think 11 different Blue Jackets got a point. Like, multi-point games for Matthew Olivier, who had a goal and an assist. Boone Jenner had 2 goals, 1 assist. Kirill Marchenko had a goal and an assist. Dante Matejchuk, goal and an assist. Dante Fabbro, goal and 2 assists. Like, can't fault it. Cannot fault the offense in this game. The defense was an adventure, let's say. The goaltending was abominable for both teams. Which again, we'll talk about the goaltending in against Ottawa in a second here. But like, you have to start Tarasov tonight, right? Like, in theory, Elvis got all of the goals against out of his system last night, but we've seen what happens when you play Elvis in back-to-backs, right? And I think that you shouldn't be playing goalies in back-to-backs, especially when your goalie faces like 40 shots the night before and allows 6 goals. Maybe it's time to let Daniil Tarasov play a game for the first time in a million years. When was his last game? Again, we'll talk about this in a second. Okay, his last game was March 15th, so it's been 2 weeks. So it's probably about time for Tarasov to get another game, but rust is going to be a real problem. And again, the Senators are not going to be an easy opponent, but let's talk about last night again. Again, the offense, I have no issues. No issues with the offense. They outshot the Canucks. They technically outscored them by way of Ken Johnson's just disgusting shootout goal, which I love that we have grown to the point where the 3 shootout guys are Ken Johnson, Adam Fantilli, Kirill Marchenko, because I feel like at the beginning of the season, and this is no shade to Sean Monahan, but I feel like the beginning of the season, the first shooter was Sean Monahan. The second shooter was Damon Severson, who admittedly has a shockingly good career shootout percentage. But you got to go with the kids, right? Especially if the kids take overnight. Those are your 3 best young players, right? Ken Johnson, Adam Fantilli, Kirill Marchenko. Those are the guys that you want to lean on because those are the guys that are going to be around. Hopefully, knock on wood, long term. But beyond the offense, like, again, the defense, a mess. The goaltending, a mess. Special teams, shockingly, a mess. I told you to keep, I told you that they need to keep it at even strength to have a chance of winning in this game. And I stand by that because, again, Blue Jackets, 5 even strength goals. The Canucks, 3 even strength goals, 2 power play goals, and a shorthanded goal. Like, Blue Jackets had 1 power play goal on 4 attempts. The Canucks went 2 for 2. Special teams, once again, giving this team fits. And I don't understand because, like, okay, I understand the penalty kill struggling because, sure, but, like, I don't understand how you fail to score goals when there is 1 less guy on the other team, right? And this is true for every single team, but, like, especially a team that scores a lot at even strength, you're basically doing even strength scoring, but easier. And I don't understand how this team, like, functions. In terms of goals for, like, 5-on-5 goals, the Blue Jackets second in the league in 5-on-5 goals. They did go through a patch there where they just failed to score any goals at all forever. So, they were tied with the Capitals for first, but now they've fallen behind a bit, but they're still second in the league. They've got more 5-on-5 goals than the Tampa Bay Lightning. They've got more 5-on-5 goals than Vegas, than Dallas. Shockingly, Buffalo is 6th in 5-on-5 goals as well. But Buffalo's only scored 2 fewer goals than the Blue Jackets, which is, like, just overall. Because when you flip that to goals for, Blue Jackets are 11th in the league. So again, only 10 teams have scored more than the Blue Jackets, but the Blue Jackets have been leaking goals. They've been leaking a lot of goals. Only 7 teams have allowed more goals than them. And those teams are Pittsburgh, Chicago, San Jose, Philadelphia, Buffalo, Boston, and Montreal. So a playoff team should not be in the bottom 10 of goals against, right? And again, last night, they allowed a lot of goals. Yes, they scored more, but the defense needs to be better. The goaltending needs to be better. Hopefully, again, Elvis has gotten that out of his system. We are due a good Elvis game, but again, I still don't know that you play him tonight against Ottawa. But I want to take a quick break And then when we get back, I want to talk about, is there anything that they can take from this game and be like, right, okay, well, we can learn from this specific thing? Because this feels a little bit like one of those games where win or lose, you just kind of put the tape on the shelf and leave it, right? So I want to take a quick break and then we'll talk about what they can learn from this game, because I do think there are some things that they can learn from this game, regardless of the nightmare final score. So we'll do that in just a second here at Locked On Blue Jackets. First, I'm going to tell you about Indeed. Did you just realize that your business needed to hire someone yesterday? How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites. Indeed Sponsored Jobs puts your post at the top of the page and helps you reach the right candidates faster. I have been unlucky enough to need to be job hunting in recent years, and Indeed is the only site that I use. I think it's the easiest one to use. I think it's the best one to use. I got the best results when I was, shopping around for job hunting sites. And so I can only imagine that if you are the one hiring, it is just as good. And you can hire up your speeding process with a $75 sponsored job credit. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, Indeed, is all you need. Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jackets. I want to talk a little bit about what they can learn from this game, because like I said before the break, like, this feels like a game where, and I've talked about this before, I hate games like this. I will take a 2-1 win over a 7-6 win any day. I know that everyone gets really excited about all of the goals. I hate it. Again, as a former goalie, I hate it. I'm sure the coaches hated it as well. Especially that last little bit where, what was it? When did the goals really start coming in? It would have been 1646. Boone ties the game. Mathieu Olivier scores about 25 seconds later to make it 6-5, and then 20 seconds after that, Aatu Räty scores to make it 6-6. So 3 goals within the space of about 45 seconds, with less than 5 minutes left in the third period. A coach's nightmare, truly. A Jay's nightmare as well. But are there things that they can learn from this game? Yes and no. Again, a lot of this game is going to be just, you happen to be the better team, right? You happen to be the more opportunistic team, I guess. And it helped that Elvis decided to be good in shootouts this year. I believe all but one of their shootout wins have come from Elvis. I can't swear to that, but I know that the Blue Jackets are like 7-1 in shootouts now. I'm just pulling it up. They are 6-1 in shootouts. I believe the one is the loss to the 1-0 loss to the New York Rangers, which the Tarasov game that he was excellent in. Technically got a shutout because he didn't allow a goal in regulation or overtime. But I believe all 6 of the Blue Jackets shootout wins have come from Elvis. So Elvis, again, great in the shootout, which is very funny because I feel like that's the hardest thing. You a 1-0 with time, like the odds are stacked against the goalie. So the fact that Elvis has just decided to be great in the shootout is extremely funny, and also, sure, why not, right? But that being said, in this game, there were things that the Blue Jackets did well. Obviously, the offense was a big thing. So I think you can learn from that in the, this team knows how to score goals. The problem is keeping them out of their net right now, right? Whether that's a defensive meltdown, whether that's goaltending not being good enough. Like, I think I tweeted about it last night. The first goal the Canucks scored, the power play goal, I feel like I've seen that goal. I feel like I've seen a team score that goal on the Blue Jackets a million times this season. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if when a team is setting out to, watch tape and do their pregame scouting, especially for, power play plays, I wouldn't be surprised if that exact play is being played to opposing teams. And like, right, well, if these players are on the ice, they're killing penalties, you can just kind of fire the puck to the net, and if someone's in the right place, it'll go in, right? We saw almost that exact same goal scored against the Island, or by the Islanders against the Blue Jackets in the most recent game, but and I think that was even strength in fairness, but I feel like I've seen that goal scored a million times, so you need to do something about that, right? If you know that there is a weakness here, then you have to figure that out, and I think last night's game exposed some weaknesses in the Blue Jackets systems that we kind of knew were there, but they have been, and this is maybe true for the past couple of weeks, is the Blue Jackets up until the beginning of March, let's say, were basically just kind of outscoring all of their problems. So when the goal scoring stopped, everything else did as well. I think last night was a good sign. I think the Islanders game, the Blue Jackets, I think what's that? Technically, despite so if we take the shootout goals, quote unquote, out of it, the Blue Jackets have scored, I think, 9 goals in the past 2 games, which is great, which is more goals than they scored in the entire 2 weeks leading up to those 2 games, I feel like. And they scored 7 goals in one of those games. So, again, a good sign that the offense is coming back. I think that's a big Sean Monahan thing. In terms of, again, players that were leading the offense, Boone Jenner had 6 shots on goal. Zach Werenski had 6 shots on goal. Clearly those guys shooting the puck, trying to generate offense. I don't have the fancy stats in front of me, but again, I think having Sean Monahan back has been great. If only because he was excellent in the faceoff dot. He went 83.3%, I believe. I saw a tweet said he won 20 of 24 faceoffs, which is something the Blue Jackets have really, really been suffering with. Blue Jackets in total won almost 68% of their faceoffs. Boone Jenner, great, 66%. Adam Fantilli, 60%. Justin Danforth, 58%. Voronkov, who I assume took 1 or 2 faceoffs when Monahan got chucked out, 50%. Sean Corrali, 50%. Cole Sullinger, 83%. A phenomenal faceoff victory for this team that has struggled mightily with faceoffs. They are currently 27th in the league in faceoffs. So it's going to be, again, we'll talk about Ottawa in a minute here, but Ottawa is one of the better faceoff teams in the league. So hopefully they can kind of keep that rolling. But despite the fact that I don't think there's a lot of advanced stats or stuff out there about it, but I do genuinely think that winning faceoffs leads to more offense. The better faceoff teams are typically the teams that have better offense, right? And I think special teams is also a big thing there. If you start the special teams play with the puck, then you've already, that's half the battle, right? Whether that's we start with the puck on the power play, then you have time to get set up. Or if you start with the puck on the penalty kill, you can just get rid of it, and then the other team has to, we've seen it again. How many times have we seen that? Blue Jackets lose that opening power play face-off and then have to trundle their way back up the ice, collect the puck, and then try to enter the zone cleanly, and they don't know how to do it. So it's just a disaster. But a good face-off performance is important. Again, all of this feels like trickle down from Sean Monahan's return, right? And maybe the thing to learn from this is how important Sean Monahan is to this team, not only because of his on-ice effect, but because with him on the ice, it's freeing up things for other people, right? I thought Adam Fantilli was excellent last night. That Fantilli, Johnson, Jenner line I thought was great. I thought the top line was good. The bottom 6, I thought was, hey, I mean, Mathieu Olivier, 17 goals on the season, right? It's fun. Do I think there's much to learn? No, but I do think you can learn from your face-offs. You can learn from your even strength play, at least, that you've remembered how to score goals. If this team is, middle of the road at special teams, they probably have 3 or 4 more wins on the season. I haven't gone through and done the math specifically, but, this team is 33, 29, and 9 on the season. They have a goal differential of -7, if this team currently is 24th in power play and 25th in the penalty kill, if they are 15th at both, they probably allow 5 or 6 fewer goals and score 5 or 6 more goals. Again, that's me just kind of guessing at the math there because, as everydayers know, math is not my friend. But that translates, right? That probably translates to 2-4 standings points. Completely different ball game, right? So, yes, as good as this team has been at even strength, I think this game specifically has been a real, like, oh, special teams aren't good enough. Even when we're scoring at even strength at will, special teams need to be better, right? Blue Jackets should have won this game in regulation. If they don't allow a shorthanded goal, if they don't allow 2 power play goals, like, if you take again, I think I talked about it right at the very beginning of the episode. If you judge games based on even strength, the Blue Jackets won this one 5-3 easily, right? So, special teams got to be better. They got to be better. The defense has to be better. I know that there are whispers that they're going to overhaul the defense this summer. I don't know what that means, but hopefully it means fewer goals allowed next year because, again, while this team has scored goals at will, their defense, while improved from last season, is still, like, it's still not good enough, right? Last season, the Blue Jackets allowed 300 goals. So, again, what did I just say? They've allowed, I think, 239 goals so far this season. So, if you assume that they're going to allow maybe 20 more goals, 25 more goals, an average of 2.5 goals a game, they're still going to be allowing, oh God, math again. They're still going to be allowing like 40 to 45 goals fewer than they did last season. Last season, they only scored 237 goals. This season, they've already hit 232 goals, I believe. Where are they there? Yeah, 232 goals. So, 5 more goals and they'll have tied last season's total for goals for. So, offense, massively improved. Defense, massively improved. Defense needs to improve again. They need to be a team that is consistently scoring more goals than they're allowing, like they were at the beginning. Like at the front half of the season, they were doing a great job of it. Back half of the season, I think, again, the fact that they just forgot how to score goals entirely. Hopefully this is a good sign that they've remembered how to score goals. The playoffs are, like, again, they got a lot of out-of-town scoreboard help over the past kind of half a week, Montreal has lost 5 in a row. The Islanders are losing. The Red Wings are losing. The Bruins are losing. The Rangers lost in overtime last night. Like, the Blue Jackets are in that second wildcard spot right now. All they're going to do is stay there, All you got to do is keep ahead of the Canadians, the Rangers, the Islanders. Like, that's all you got to do. Just hold on. Tonight's game is huge. We've seen the Blue Jackets fall down at these big games before. It's the first in the season series against Ottawa. Currently hold the first wildcard spot, and are crucially 6 points ahead of the Blue Jackets in the wildcard race. Now, the first wildcard, and we'll talk about this in detail later, the first wildcard is going to be playing whoever wins the Atlantic, which right now is the Florida Panthers, but could easily be the Leafs or the Lightning. Second wildcard spot is going to play the Washington Capitals. I know which I would much rather go through that Atlantic gauntlet than go through the Capitals and then have to go through probably the Hurricanes, because I assume that they will beat the Devils. Devils are not out of reach for the Blue Jackets yet. In theory, they are 8 points ahead with 3 games. The Blue Jackets have 3 games in hand against them. Again, win tonight, and we'll have a very different conversation on our hands, I think. So let's talk about the Ottawa Senators and how the Blue Jackets can beat them in just a second here on Locked On Blue Jackets. First, I'm going to tell you about Trade Coffee. If you're like me, your mornings have to start with a good cup of coffee. But I got tired of settling for grocery store brands. I got tired of paying $8 for a latte at whatever chain store I drove past. And that's why I turned to Trade. And let me tell you, this coffee is next level good. Trade is the #1 specialty coffee marketplace in the US, bringing you fresh coffee from over 50 of the country's top roasters. Their experts have taste-tested thousands of coffees, curating over 450 amazing roasts. So whether you're new to coffee or you know exactly what you like, they're going to handpick the perfect match for you. My first bag was a game changer. It's delicious. It's got key lime pie. It's got peach. It's got all of that good, like, fruity coffee taste that I love in a coffee. The subscription makes it super easy. I don't have to make any more last-minute grocery store runs or, again, go to whatever chain I drive past and pay $8 for a latte. And if you don't love your first bag, no worries. Trade will replace it for free until they get it just right. Right now, Trade is exclusively offering our listeners 40% off their first order at drinktrade.com/lockedonnhl. That's drinktrade, TRADE.com/lockedonnhl for 40% off your first order. drinktrade.com/lockedonnhl. Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jackets. Let's talk about the Ottawa Senators, who have kind of come out of nowhere this season. They're on a kind of a hot streak at the minute. They are 7-3-0 in their last 10 games. They just beat Detroit, which was very helpful for us. They are 38-28-5. Again, they're currently holding the first wildcard spot. Blue Jackets are 6 points behind them. Blue Jackets have 3 games to play against the Ottawa Senators in the next, 8 days or 11 days or something like that. They play tonight, then they play again April 6th, and then they play again April 8th, and that's the season series done, which, again, feels insane. But huge, huge standings implications for these, because if you can take these 6 points from this team, then that's the 6 points that they're ahead of you right now, right? The Blue Jackets can either pull level with the Senators, or they can be 12 points behind them, or somewhere in the middle if, there's some shenanigans with overtime and shootout and whatnot. It'd be nice if the Blue Jackets could win in regulation. I'm not going to turn down a win, but I would love a regulation win, maybe, as a treat. I've been very well behaved, and I think a regulation win would be fun. In terms of players to watch for the Senators, it's not who you would expect has been hot in the last 5 games. Drake Batherson has 4 points in his last 5 games. David Perron has 3 goals in his last 5 games. Claude Giroux has 3 assists in his last 5 games. In terms of scoring for them in general, Tim Stutzler has 71 points in 71 games for the Senators. Jake Sanderson has 48 points in 70 games. Drake Batherson, 58 points. Brady Tkachuk, 55 points. These are the guys that you need to watch, right? And I feel like Brady Tkachuk is going to be a problem. I would be extremely unsurprised if he and Mathieu Olivier drop the gloves at some point, which is definitely a trade-off that I would take. I would absolutely have Mathieu Olivier sitting in the box for 5 minutes if it meant that Brady Tkachuk was also sitting in the box for 5 minutes, right? And that's even with the fact that Mathieu Olivier would be, I believe, 4th in scoring on this team. In terms of goals, he's got 17 goals. The Senators only have 3 20-goal scorers, and then Fabian Zetterlund, who obviously has came across from San Jose a couple of weeks ago, so I don't know that we get to count him, but he has the same number of goals as Mathieu Olivier. So maybe I'm being harsh there and saying that I would take that trade, but the Senators are a surprisingly good team. Again, I feel like they are a team that is going to beat you in a close game. I feel like there are not a lot of blowouts either way for the Senators. Their power play is 11th in the league. Their penalty kill is 19th. They're a great face-off team, but then their goals for per game is only 19th in the league, and their goals against is 13th. So, again, it's a good defensive game. But if you can score a couple of goals on them, I think they might struggle to score them back. They're getting great goaltending from Linus Ullmark, who's got a .909 save percentage and 3 shutouts on the year. I expect that's who the Blue Jackets will see tonight. My guess is it'll be Tarasov versus Ullmark. They might try to start Elvis Merzlikins. Again, I don't know that that's what I would do, but I'm not the coach. I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again. Yesterday, I predicted that it was going to be Tarasov versus Demko, and it turned out to be Merzlikins versus Lankinen. So, who knows? But my guess is it'll be Ullmark versus Tarasov. The Senators did not play last night, I don't believe. And I don't think they play tomorrow night either. I'm just going to double check. They did not play last night. And they do play tomorrow night as well, but they're playing the Penguins. So again, my guess is the Blue Jackets will get the good goalie. The Penguins will not get the good goalie. No shade to Anton Forsberg, but if the Senators are facing a playoff team and a non-playoff team, then they're going to put Linus Ullmark in against the playoff team, right? So my guess is the Blue Jackets will see Linus Ullmark, who has had a down season by his standards, but again, is still a very, very good goalie, and I think has been a big reason for the Ottawa Senators kind of jumping up the standings. So predictions. Because, what did I say? So yesterday I predicted a 5-4 Blue Jackets win with a Zach Werenski goal. It feels like cheating to just keep predicting a Zach Werenski goal until it happens. I might go with the hot hand. I might go with Boone Jenner. That feels like a good... Again, he's got 4 goals in his last 3 games. He's got 14 points in 15 games so far this season. And that's including, like, the 4 games that they were shut out of 5 or whatever, stupid 3 shutouts in 4 games. So Boone Jenner's hot right now. Sean Monahan has 3 assists in his last 5 games. I don't believe he scored a goal since he's come back from injury. Now, again, he's been back for 2 games total, so I'm not, like, super surprised by that. But let's go ahead. Let's say a Sean Monahan goal. I feel good about that. And again, because the Senators don't typically have runaway games. Now that I've said that, obviously what's going to happen is that it's going to be like a wild, again, it's going to be another 7-6 win or a 7-6 result. And I'm going to be stressed and my blood pressure is going to be through the roof. And my watch is going to be yelling at me about why my heart rate is 160 when I'm lying down. Let's say a 4-3 Blue Jackets win, probably in overtime because of course it'll be past regulation. And yeah, let's say a Sean Monahan goal. I feel good about that. There's no ex-Senators on the Blue Jackets roster, I don't think. I might be wrong about that. I'm just going to scroll through real quick to double check that. No, I don't believe there is. So there's no one to do a revenge goal. I don't think there's an ex-Blue Jacket on the Senators either, unless we count Anton Forsberg, who likely will not be playing. So no revenge goals on either side, we don't think. So yeah, let's go 4-3 Blue Jackets win. Sean Monahan goal. We're going to be back tomorrow. We'll break down tonight's game, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Hopefully more of the first and less of the second 2. And honestly, a little bit less chaos overall would be good for me and my blood pressure and my grey hair. Thank you for listening. For making it your first listen of the day every single day. Locked on Blue Jackets continues to be free and available on all podcast platforms, on YouTube, and you can find us on social media at LO_Blue Jackets on Twitter. You can find me at _Jacob Foster, JAKOBFORSTER. And if you have comments, questions, criticisms, email me at lockedonbluejackets@gmail.com. Once again, I'll be back tomorrow. We'll be talking about tonight's game. Hopefully fun. Probably stressful. We'll see if I manage to stay awake for the whole game, because that seems to be the thing, is that if I'm asleep, the Blue Jackets win, which is a very frustrating way to watch the game. But we'll talk about that and more tomorrow. Until then, make sure you stay locked on.